annual meeting, and some of you might say, that sounds boring.
No.
And I tell you this, that actually is super fun, because what that means is that today we get to look back on all that God has been doing through Bethany Alliance Church and look forward to what He is going to be doing in 2018. So right after the service, every single person sitting in here today is invited to join us downstairs. We've got soup and chili coming out of our ears and noses down there, so come eat with us. Not out of our nose. Just don't laugh when you eat it. It won't come out of your nose then. But we've got a lot of it. We've got sides, things like that. We would love for every single one of you to join us. Come eat. Come hear about what God has been doing and listen to the reports. We'll get rolling pretty quickly there so that you don't have to stay too long, because I know I've heard there's a big game today. If you're a Bears fan like myself or a Packers fan like Joe, you're not excited about the game today. But Vikings fans, you're excited. But we'll be out of here plenty before that. So we would love for you to join us downstairs. You do not have to be a member to attend. Members are the ones that vote, okay? So you can come, be a part of it, enjoy it. But we wanted to take some time during this service, and we wanted to take some time to simply celebrate. Celebrate what God has been doing through us this past year as we reach the next person for Christ to take the next steps with Christ. Our church, all of you have been actively partnering with Jesus throughout this last year, and we are excited to look back on it all and really highlight what God has been doing. So this service is going to be just a little bit different, okay? You're not going to hear a set of worship and then Coulter preach for 3 hours and then, a couple songs to end. Instead, you're going to kind of mix it in, and we just want this to be an opportunity for us just to lift Jesus' name high and celebrate what you guys have been doing in His name this year. So my prayer for today has been that it would be an encouragement to you, and it would be honoring to God, and it would inspire us as we move into 2018. But before we get to the celebrations, I do have a few announcements for you today. The first one, who's got a smartphone in here? Pull your smartphones out right now. Who's got a tablet in here right now? Pull all of that out. I want to go with you to a fun little location. Open up your browser with me, whatever you use for your browser. I don't know what you use for your browser, but type in BethanyAlliance.com. BethanyAlliance.com. It's right there on the screen. Type that in there. BethanyAlliance.com. Maybe you've been to this site before, and you're going to notice something very different when you open up this page. BethanyAlliance.com. We have rebuilt our website from the ground up. Jack has been diligently working on this for the past few months to make this a resource that you can use every single day of the week, a resource that is navigable for everyone, a resource that allows you to connect with what we're doing around here. So if you have internet access at any point, you can access our website, and this is going to be a great place for you to stay connected. Share this website with friends that you're wanting to invite here to Bethany Alliance. This is a great spot. Many of the different buttons are going to take you to different things, from who are we to how you can get connected around here. You're going to see our calendar on there. So it's a great resource. Bookmark it on your web browser right now. We want you to visit there often. Our sermons will be on there. We'll have different resources for you. But there is one that I want to draw your attention to if you're a tech person and enjoy this. If you go to the menu and you go down to giving, it's going to take you to a page that says giving to Bethany Alliance Church, says donate. You can now give online to Bethany Alliance Church, okay? So many of us, that's a convenient way to not forget to give to the church, a convenient way to stay on track with giving to the church. And so if you hit donate, it's going to take you to a site, a secure site, okay, to log in, and you'll create a login and everything, and from there you can give one-time occurrences, you can give reoccurring occurrences. This is a place for you to give if that's convenient to you. It's going to give you two options. It's going to give you one where it just comes right out of your checking account, out of your banking account, and I'll tell you this, that way is the cheaper to the church way of doing it, and the other way is you set it up through a credit card, debit card. So if you do it directly from your account, it is only a 25-cent fee that comes off of the top of whatever you give. It's no extra to you. It just comes off the top. If you give through a card of some sort, it's actually 2.3% plus 30 cents to give towards it. So we recommend, and it's completely secure, you can set it up through your checking account right there, and it'll come right out of there. You can set it up so you don't forget to tithe every month, okay? Right off the bat, right off the top, any way that you want to give, we encourage you to use that. That's one of the new resources on our website. I know it's not always fun to talk money, but I wanted to let you know about that. All right, continue on in announcements here. I want to know who in here, just a second, I got to get to my spot here. Who's got lost? All right, who in here is married and has kids? Anybody married and have kids? All right, now, keep your hands up if you love getting away with your spouse without your kids once in a while. Great, I'm glad to see the hands still stayed up. Okay, you guys can put it down. All right, put your hands down. We know, and I believe that is one of the most beneficial things that you can do as a couple, is to be just the two of you. And that is also, as a great of a thing as it is often a hard thing to do, right? Am I right on that? Especially if you have young kids. Sometimes it very rarely happens, and I realize that. And so we want to bless many of you that say you have kids living at home, and sometimes it's hard to get away. And so on Saturday, February 10th, okay, mark that on your calendar, Saturday, February 10th, from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock, those of you that just rose your hands that have kids and everything, you can drop them off here at the church, and we're going to provide childcare for you. Now, this isn't going to just be free for all night. We've got a lot of fun activities for them. We're going to even feed them supper that night, so it's a big deal. We want to make this fun. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to do crafts. We're going to have lots of fun here. But here's the caveat. Now, the rest of you that maybe don't have kids living at home, or your kids are old enough to normally take care of themselves, and maybe you do get out on your own, or maybe you don't have kids yet and you get out all the time, or you're single. I don't know who you are, okay, but maybe you can come and be a blessing to these families. So if you have the ability to, we need your help. I see a couple names already signed up out there to help us out, but Jack, Jamie, and myself, we plan to be here that night. And so we hope that maybe some of you could come and help us, because that's going to be maybe a lot of kids for just 3 of us to handle. So if you are available on February 10th to come be a help, okay, maybe you're an older teenager and you're great with kids and you want to come hang out. Silver cord hours if you're a teenager, okay? Volunteer hours. You can come be here. Maybe you're in the older generation and you're at grandparenting age. Come be a grandparent to these kids. We want to bless those in our church that need a night just to be them. So if you're available, Discover BAC table, sign up. We would love to have your help. Next announcement I've got for you, okay, I've got just a few for you. Next announcement I've got for you is connection groups. Back in the fall, we launched connection groups, and many of you got connected and got involved in these groups. They range from meeting weekly to every other week. There's different studies that were going on, but it was just a place for you to connect with other people in our church and form family-type relationships. Well, these connection groups, they are relaunching here at the end of January. Some of them are even relaunching this week. Some are relaunching next week, within the weeks, these couple weeks here. And if you are not involved in one, we would love to invite you to be a part of one. So if you are interested in getting involved in one, first stop is our Discover BAC table. The elder there, rep, they will help get you connected with one. They can help get you in touch with the leaders. And you can even sign up if that's intimidating to even talk to someone. You just want to write your name down and we'll reach out to you. You can even write your name down on a little sign-up sheet and we'll get in touch with you so you can get involved. But these are a big deal. We have loved to see the response that there have been, and there's room and groups all over our church. So sign up, get involved. We'd love to see you connected in that way. All right, last big announcement I've got for you. Raise your hand if you have ever been to camp or a retreat before. Anybody ever been to a camp or a retreat before? All right, now raise your hand if you've been to a camp or retreat and that camp or retreat has made a lasting impact in your life on you. Awesome. I love to see what camps and retreats are doing. We are trying to give our students that opportunity this February. Jack and Laura are looking to take some students to a camp called Winter Extreme at Camp Timberlake on February 16th through the 18th. Now here's the caveat. In order to go, it's going to cost roughly $200 a student to go. So this is what I want to invite you to be a part of. We would love to be able to sponsor students to go to this. Some of the students come, and I don't know about you, but when I was a student, I didn't just have $200 always laying around to be able to go on a retreat like this or to go somewhere, and many of them come and they don't have that money, and so we want to bless them and we want to encourage this. And so if you are able, if you say, hey, you know what? Camps and retreats have played an impact in my life. I want to play an impact in one of the students' lives. I want to help reach the next student for Christ, to take the next steps with Christ. We'd invite you to just drop some money in our offering boxes and label it somehow. Label it youth retreat, label it winter extreme, label it student sponsorship. Make it known that it's going towards this, and we'll get it to the right people the right time. Let's bless some students this February and get them to camp and see them come back, so that when I say who's been to camp, they'll raise their hand, and then I'll say who's been impacted by camp, they'll all raise their hand as well. I'd invite you to be a part of that. Just toss it in the offering box. Let's get the students there. There's other announcements in your bulletin. I invite you to look at them. One of them, a Hope for Life pregnancy fundraiser. Check it out in there. Many things to keep your eye on. But with that all in mind, let's start this celebration. And I want to just read from Psalm 66 as we start out. It says this: "Shout for joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Give to him glorious praise. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies come cringing to you. All the earth worships you and sings praises to you. They sing praises to your name, Selah. Come and see what God has done. He is awesome in his deeds towards the children of men." We are about to embark on a journey through 2017. And I can't wait to hear and reflect on all that God has done this last year through BAC. And I invite you right at this moment, if you are able to stand up, we're going to sing a couple songs of praise as we enter into the throne room and celebrate God this morning.
You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, love, your good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Your good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Your good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is Father God, you calm the storms that rage inside us. You bring peace into our chaos, Lord. You still our souls. Father God, we thank you so much for your work in our lives, for your work in our family here. For that is what we are. We are not just a church. We are not just people who attend, but we are a family. And you have blessed this family. You have called us your own. And we thank you and praise you for who you are and your work among us. For it is in your great and holy name that we pray. Amen.
On this journey today, I do want to share with you, we will have a slideshow playing up here throughout the time of pictures that have happened throughout the year. We would love to see what God has done and what he has been doing through that. So admire those. Many of you made the cut. Well done. You were on the slideshow because you were involved in part of things. But it'll be a great opportunity just to look back. Some of the pictures, amazing. I just love to see as I was going through them and seeing everything that we did this last year. It's just heartwarming to look at them. But as we go through this today, it won't be just me sharing with you today. I've invited many people who are involved in these different ministries and involved in the different things that we are doing to come up and share on the behalf of the ministry themselves, so that it's not just Coulter's experience, but a church family's experience. And so I'm encouraged to have so many of them. But as we start looking back on this year, it's hard not to start with our weekly ministries. We have ministries that take place every week and throughout the weeks and things that are a very consistent basis, and they range. It doesn't matter your age. You can find a place to plug in here at Bethany Alliance Church, whether you are the youngest of young or the oldest of old. We have a spot for you. And one of the spots that I want to start with is our youngest of youngs. We have our life ministry that takes place on Wednesday nights throughout the year. So just in case you have no idea what that's all about, life ministry ranges from preschool through 4th grade. They meet at 6:30 p.m. every Wednesday throughout the school year, and they get to learn about Jesus in ways that are unique to them. And this ministry is all geared towards reaching the next child for Christ to take the next steps with Christ. And to share about what God did in life ministry this last year, I'm going to invite Sheila Etherington and Bree Baker up here at this moment to share what they saw.
Well, I kind of processed through and prayed what God wanted me to share today, and really felt that it was a big year for our life program. It's just as far as transition goes. Bill passed the baton to kind of a new leadership team, and sometimes our human emotions want to get a little bit nervous or rattled. But for me, it was huge to see how God was so faithful to our life group and brought in so many new families, so many return families. And so for me, one of the big things this year was just to see God's faithfulness throughout that transition. We've been lucky to have great teachers, great leaders. And I just also felt when I prayed, I felt like the words community came to mind, and just connection. And so we have been blessed to have so many kids come and just really want to be here and to be plugged in those nights. And fun for my group too. I have 3rd and 4th grade girls. But to see them come and to ask, what can we pray for tonight? What do you want to pray for? And then to reflect back to see how God has been faithful with those prayer requests as well. So it's been a great year.
I would like all the leaders to stand up. Bullfrogs, butterflies, life leaders. Would you guys stand up for just a minute? Yeah, give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thanks, you can sit down. One of the big things for me this year is actually working with all of these people. As you saw, there's a wide range of personalities and ages, and the amount they sacrifice, it's only an hour, right? It's only an hour on Wednesdays. But praying for their kids all week and the love and the passion they have for their kids while they're here is awesome. The kids always have a smile on their face. They're always excited to sit with their leaders. They can't wait to tell them what's happened in the week. And I feel like our leaders, what they've shown me is 1 hour of their life impacts eternity. So they see the value of their investment. I'm giving 1 hour, and it's impacting eternity. So when you think about your finances and trying to get the most for your dollar, think about that. They're giving 1 hour for eternity. That's a pretty good return on your investment, I would say. And so watching their hearts and seeing their dedication and devotion to the children just is amazing to me. The other thing that's been great for me personally in teaching is how God has lined up all the stories. And all week as I prepare for the lesson, there's always steps throughout the week that go back to the lesson, like him just being faithful in what the message that he wants the kids to have. In November, we did an invitation, and I don't know how many children came forward and gave their lives to Jesus. And so, of course, that's it. Like, that's what it's all about. So working alongside these guys is phenomenal. I would encourage you to think about for yourselves, what are you investing in the kingdom? And are you getting the most return for that? Think about eternity and what you're doing with your time in your life. And think about the kingdom and how is that impacting the kingdom. Also, they went downstairs, so kind of a bummer. I was going to bring little Eloise and Oliver up. And most of you know Eloise. She's about this tall. That little girl can memorize any scripture you've ever seen. And to listen to her, have her come up to me each week and say, I know my verse. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, Sheila, there is no reason you can't memorize the Word of God. Just stop your arguing and sit down and dig in. And the kids in our church that go to life, if you're in here, stand up. Stand up. Come on. So do you see how few are standing? How many kids do we have here on a Wednesday, Coulter? 42. Do you see how many are from our church? These guys are so good at loving on friends. They're so good at loving on friends and encouraging them and sitting beside them. So that's the other part that's amazing about this ministry this year is that's how many kids are at our life ministry from our church. We are reaching the next person for Christ, and God is blessing it, and they keep coming. So
it's pretty sweet to see what God is doing, and Bree mentioned the transition. As many of us know, Bill feeling like God was leading him elsewhere, but to see it, nobody missed a heartbeat there. You know, God continued to be faithful. Leaders stepped up in so many awesome ways, and the ministry continues to be an awesome spot. And so I want to invite us today, there's going to be moments here that I want to invite us to do something a little non-Midwestern. And I want to pause, the young adults group will laugh at this because one ministry we listened to one time, pause for a praise break, okay? And I just want to give God some glory at this point and just say, well done, awesome job, God. I know you can hoot and holler. It is awesome to see what God is doing in our kids, and we don't stop there. The next ministry that I think of is obviously the one that graduates from life into the next, and that's our Pulse ministry. And this is headed up by Jack. Jack pours his heart into this one, and Jack has been at it now for about a year. And it has been awesome for me personally to watch this man step up and lead well, and to encourage our leaders and to inspire them, and to help this ministry continue to reach into the next youth's life, to help the next youth take that step with Jesus. And so today, I want to, instead of hearing just from Jack, though, I've asked Jack to invite some of his leaders up here to share on behalf of the Pulse Ministry, and I believe that it's Sarah and Dean and Lee that are going to come on up here if you guys are available.
I work with the 5th through 8th grade this year. Last year it was just 5th and 6th. When we split into small groups, I have the 5th and 6th grade girls. That's been fun. Wednesday nights are like my highlight of my week, to be quite honest. I work at school as it is, but it's just fun to come on Wednesday nights. It's a whole different atmosphere. It's just, we can have fun with them. But sometimes I do wonder, are they really hearing us? Do we talk about Jesus enough? Have we said his name enough? Have we, are they still listening? Because when they're little, they listen. Then they get a little older, and those of us that have those kids, that kind of wonder if they're hearing us sometimes. But I had a parent talk to me just after Christmas about a kid who had only been there 3 weeks at that point, because he had just started coming. She just had him start coming again. He had come, I don't know, a few years ago in life, so he'd done some time with us here. And she was telling me how at home, his grandma had said something about Christmas coming and the gifts and da-da-da-da-da. And he said to her, "Oh, but Grandma, it's not just about the gifts. It's all about God." And I thought, oh, they do hear us. Sorry, that chokes me up, because that's what we do. And it was just amazing to me. So it was all worth it. And yeah, Jack does a great job setting up lessons for us. They're amazing. And they definitely bring praise to Jesus every time.
Dean and I are part of the high school Pulse team, and we've enjoyed that. We've done that for a long time. This is actually our first time doing it without any children, and that's kind of what started all of this for us. And to be honest, when I thought about today and prayed over to what I wanted to say and what we wanted to say, it was the children and the youth ministries that brought us to Bethany Alliance. We were happy in the church we were going to, but there was no place for our children. And that's really what brought us here. So what I wanted to spend my time this morning talking about is just maybe how amazing youth group is, and to talk a little bit about how you can be involved with us. We would love to have more adults join us. It's a very fun time if you, on Wednesday night, want to invest a really good hour and a half for us. It's fun, it's crazy, it's wild. The back shack is full of energy, and it's amazing. If I had the kids that went to youth group stand up, there's very few from our church as well. We reach a wide range of kids, and so it's very fun. I also recognize that that's not for everyone to be there on a Wednesday night, and I have 3 quick stories to share with you how as a church you might come alongside us. The first one takes me back to a moment that I had with Walter Fleur. He was sick and he was in the hospital. I don't know if you've heard me tell this story before, but I had the kids at youth group write him notes. And I work at the hospital, so I had taken him in there to him in the morning, and I went back in at lunch, and he said, "Sarah, we've got to talk." And I said, "What's the matter?" He had 2 piles of notes. He said, "I've been praying over these kids that wrote me these notes, and here's this stack." He said, "Sarah, I don't know who those kids are." And I thought, here, he's in his 90s, and he was praying over our kids, and he knew every one of them by name except this little stack. And he said, Wednesday nights, since I stopped going to life, he said, I just pray during that time. And he said, I guess I don't know all the kids, and so you have to help me out. Can I have a picture? Can I know who these kids are? And I thought, what a testimony that was to his prayer life. So if on Wednesday nights you don't feel like having kind of a wild time, but you're at home, just pray. Some of the kids that we have come from families where they have parents who pray over them. Many of our kids have no one praying for them. So we as leaders try and pray for them, but we would love to have you join us in praying for a lot of our kids who need lots and lots of prayers. So if you're interested in a list,
I'm not going to be here this afternoon. We have a commitment in Cedar Falls, but I'm sure you could talk to Jack or talk to me anytime, and I'll get you a list of people that you can pray over. My second story is one of my favorites, and it was about Marine Year. And we had an event, and I was trying to remember what the event was. It had something to do with Guitar Hero. Do you remember Guitar Hero? Yeah. Anyway, do you remember our Guitar Hero event? Were you there? Jake, were you there for the Guitar Hero a long time ago? Okay, well, we had this wild guitar, hero event, and I looked at all the snacks, and they were made by Marine Year. I thought, well, how sweet is that? So I went to her the next Sunday. I said, thank you so much for making all those cookies. She said, oh, honey. She said, they came and explained some wild fandangled thing you were doing. I had no idea what they were talking about. But she said, I thought if the kids were going to be there, they need to be fed. So she said, I know how to bake. And so she said, was it fun? And I said, well, it was fun. She had no idea, but I thought, what a sweet moment. You know what? We would love snacks. So if you don't want to be there on Wednesday night, but you can cook, we would love to have bars or cookies every once in a while instead of our bought-in snacks. And the last story takes me to somebody I was so happy to see her walk in this morning or come in, and that's Mary Jaden. Mary had decided one time to help us with youth group, and she and I led a group, and partway through the year, she said, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm reaching those kids, but you know what? Every week she brought this big basket of apples. Do you remember that, Mary? And she brought apples. Yes, she brought us apples, and all the kids called her the apple lady. Those kids loved that fresh fruit. So again, just another way that you can maybe walk alongside us as a church family by bringing fruit, by bringing food, but mostly food, mostly just praying for the kids that we have. They need lots of prayers. And so do we as leaders, because it takes a lot of energy on Wednesday nights.
I'm Dean. Had the privilege. Wednesdays are special. It's probably going through the years now without kids that we're kind of in one spot at one time. Didn't always eat a lot of meals together, but we were at youth group. So that was just sweet. Now I got to be alongside Sarah. As I look at these pictures up here, our high school ministry and youth programming has raised a lot of good kids. And so Wednesdays come often, pretty fast. You're always too busy. But as I looked at some of these pictures up here, my son in there, others, young people doing well. Whether it's Jamie that works with our church, Callie, there's just countless stories of kids that have come through our youth program, maybe not a part of our church, but have left it doing good things for good people and people that need help. And it seems like this year is uniquely different. I don't want to cast an unusual spin on it, but we've got a lot of unchurched kids. And I would say we have a lot of kids that, to some extent, are raising their households or raising their kids. They're kids in need of help. And so it's just a sweet time to be together, to come alongside of them, and maybe just do some things that are eternally lasting. So thank you.
Sweet to hear what God is doing. Anybody else want to give God a round of applause right now for that? Well, we don't stop with just the kids and the youth. Our ministries go all the way up to some of you that are having grandkids and great-grandkids. And so we have a ministry called the Senior Adult Ministry, and they meet once a month on Thursday evening for a fellowship. They share a meal together. They do ministry together. They connect together. I'm always personally very enthused when I get to go myself because I'm not old enough, if you didn't know this. I'm not old enough to be a part of the senior adult ministry, but man, it is a blast to go and just be with them. And they have some amazing food, too. I am just jealous. But so for some of you that are in that 55 to 60-ish age that have been dragging your feet to admit to it, man, admit to it. If I was 55 to 60, I'd be there in a minute because, man, that's great time together. But I want to invite up at this moment to hear the stories of what's been going on in the SAM ministry. I want to invite Dick Neal up here to share for the senior adult ministry.
Thank you. Well, when he asked me if I wanted to do this, he said, only allow us a couple of minutes. So I had started to think I had about 8-10 pages that I could fill. And I thought, well, okay, I won't do that. So I condensed it down to one and maybe throw in some other things too. So like you said, it's called SAMS, but which stands for Senior Adult Ministry. And when we were thinking of our name several years ago, some said, why not Sam's Club? Well, I think that's kind of taken and maybe trademarked. But we made a few things here. So it's not Sam's Clubs. There are no discounts. And there are no dues. So you can come. We don't have a monthly dues thing. But like Coulter said, we meet once a month. And the main things, I guess, I like is the food, of course. It's always about eating, like Coulter said, always. Food and the fellowship. A lot of times on Sunday morning, you have time to just greet one another, but not to sit down and talk very long and find out what's going on in everybody's life. So food and fellowship are the big things, I would say. One lady said, if you ever can't think of a theme for the evening meal, just have potluck. Said because there's always great food. And like I said, it's a great time for getting to know one another. And each month we have something different for maybe a speaker or a theme. And we've had our missionaries come. We've had gardening tips from one of the Mennonite gardening people, a greenhouse, come and share with us. Jessie Menchek shared about her work at school, what she does with the deaf students, and just a variety of things we've had over the years to enlighten us or something to think about, something we can pray about always. Some of our seniors have been on trips, and they've shared those with us. And then you mentioned the age. I was going to, Sheila had the one stand up that have served, and I thought, well, hey, I'll have all those that are over 55 stand up, but no, I won't. I know some of you out there are 55, because I know when we had you in youth group, how many years ago that was. So I know you're over 55. So I keep encouraging them, but yeah, if you are over 55, you can come. So I'll stare someone right in the eye, but Mark's not looking. Oh, Mark, I didn't mention Mark, so okay. So anyway, what my granddaughter said, if you have a senior moment and forget when the time is, we'll send you an email. So it is a great time of getting together and sharing, singing a few songs, and just fellowshipping with one another. So, see, I told you I could keep it short. So,
one of the sweet things that just happened recently in the senior adult ministry was back in October, November, they packaged over 50 boxes for Operation Christmas Child, and I just think that's pretty awesome to see what this group is doing. Yeah, praise Jesus. Another ministry that I wanted to highlight this morning is, if you don't realize this, we at Bethany Alliance Church, we're part of a greater church family known as the Christian and Missionary Alliance. And essentially, this is just a larger family that we get to serve alongside of and do ministry with and grow with and reach the world together with. And one of the ministries that we have here at Bethany Alliance Church is actually considered a national alliance ministry. It's called Great Commission Women, and it stands for that for many things. One of the things is because they're pretty great women in general that I believe that are involved in this. But I want to invite Jane Schmidt up here actually to share just briefly what the Great Commission Women have been up to this last year.
The Great Commission Women meets usually at the third Tuesday of each month. We have there's 8 to 10 of us that meet, and we study the missionaries. There's missionary lessons. The National sends out a lesson series, and we will go through that sometimes, sometimes not. We have learned, last year we learned about Muslims and how the missionaries are working with them, and the fact that we don't have to be afraid of them. Because sometimes I think here in America, we are. And we don't have to be. They're just people like us. And this year we've been focusing more on trafficking of children and learning how the missionaries are working with them and the homes that they are setting up. And we're learning to be aware of this and how we can pray. We always have a missionary lesson, another story, and to see how we are doing with how other missionaries, the lives that they're influencing, touching, and what they are, the stories that they have to tell. And that's great to learn from. And then you can always sit back and think, this is what the missionaries are doing. How can we apply that to what we do in our everyday life? And that has been a wake-up call for me. We try to, for the last several years, we've been sending gifts out to our college kids in the fall and in the spring so that they know that they're not forgotten. We do this for the freshmen in college, and we have a shawl ministry that we have, people have donated homemade shawls, and those are passed out to sick people and people that are going through some troubled times. We also are part of the national project for the Great Commission Women through the Missionary Alliance. We give to that on a yearly basis. They have a missionary outfit fund that is, when the missionaries come back from the field, they are giving so much money to go get some new clothes. And we are part of that. We donate to that. We have a child through the Holt ministry that we also help support on a monthly basis. We are part of the ladies have been working on a stamp ministry where we collect postage stamps, and the group will cut them and mail them off. And since 1972, the Stamp Missionaries has raised $900,000 from the stamp sales, and this money is in turn used for missions work. We usually have Christmas party, and then we also pick missionaries that we give monetary donations for. At the end of our meetings, we will break down in prayer groups, and we have a list of our missionaries that we pray for, and we break up into groups, and we will pray for those missionaries and any requests that are made from the group. And then we have a time of refreshments and fellowship, and it's been really great to know these ladies and to work with them.
So besides being some great women involved, they are intricately involved in the Great Commission of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. I just think it's so awesome to see the part that they play, small little church in Charles City, Iowa, and the impact that they are making worldwide for Christ's kingdom. So I don't know about you, but I want to praise God for that. A final ministry that I would like to highlight this morning is actually one that is newer to us. It's a little bit of a relaunch of things that have happened in the past, and it's called Connection Groups. I mentioned it at the beginning of the service, getting involved with Connection Groups, but back in the fall, we relaunched Connection Groups. We have 9 groups that are currently meeting, and these meet from homes to locations around Charles City, a spot for individuals to come together and truly connect with other individuals within our church. And while I can't be at every single one to say, hey, how's that one going? How's this one going? I hear great reports all over the place from the leaders, and I would like this morning to invite a couple individuals up here who are involved in these Connection Groups, Don Tummelson, and then the buses are going to come up and share their experience from their Connection Groups.
So when we started thinking about connection groups, we kind of got out of our comfort zone a little bit, and we're like, okay, we could probably do this every Sunday, even though we're busy. And then we decided that we wanted to host a connection group, and we're like, do we really want people in our house? And like, okay, so we'll get out of our comfort zone a little more. But no, it's been a great experience, just getting to know different people in the church and having church outside of the church. And I think that's been a big thing for us. And the variety of people that we have in our group. We have young people, we have older people, we have weird people like us. So yeah. I just strongly encourage you to get involved in a connection group and get to know the people that you're sitting around right now, because you might not know them, and they just come from a different perspective and just give really good insight. So
yeah, so and I know one of the first questions when we had our first connection group was, they were like, what do you want to get out of this? And what I said is that I know of a lot of people, but I don't actually know a lot of people. So I'm one of those people that, we finish church and I'm like, okay, this kid's gonna eat and this kid's gonna go to bed and then we're gonna take a nap. So it was really fun. We wanted to have people in our home, and we had a study that we were learning through, but also we were learning about each other, and we were learning from each other, and everybody comes from different experiences and they have different things to share, and it was and is really cool to have everybody get to sit and share those things and grow from other people, whether they're younger than you or older than you are or have kids or don't. And I'm really excited for our connection groups to start back up, because it keeps our house really clean. Every Sunday we clean our house now, and then it's really great to sit around with everybody and pray for each other and share everything that's going on. So yeah.
I got a few notes because I might have a senior moment here. I don't know who's more nervous about my giving this talk, myself or the rest of the group. Afraid of what I might say. Now, we belong to Greg Richards' group, and they feel sorry for me already. I told Greg that I'd be nice up here. You know what he told me? That'd be out of character. I want to tell you how we came about joining Greg's group. We knew we wanted to join a group when it was announced last fall, and we didn't know which one we wanted to join. So we kind of put it off, and finally came to where we had to make a decision. So we went out and looked at the sign-up sheets, and we noticed nobody was signed up for Greg's. I thought that was kind of weird, because I thought he was a pretty nice guy. But Mary and I talked about it. We felt sorry for him. So we signed up for his, thinking he'd at least have two there. And we didn't realize until later he already had a group. So in the first meeting, I was a little concerned whether or not we would fit in. After all, they're younger than our kids, with the exception of Brian. But at the first meeting, we have a meal to start with, and then we and to visit. The women go into the living room to visit, and the men stay out in the kitchen to visit so we can get a word in. But I needn't be worried. They made us feel right at home and welcomed them into the group. And when we went in after the meal and stuff, we went in to join the ladies and have the lesson. Now, being I'm a real serious, shy, quiet guy. I was glad to see some serious discussion on the lesson, but that only lasted a little while. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughing, and just sharing with each other. And just to tell you a little bit more about what that entails, on the last meeting in December, boy, everybody had just wound up. I don't know if there was something in the food or the water or what, but and I think we got some of the lesson discussed, but we just had a hilarious time. I laughed so much and so hard that I had to wipe the tears out of my eyes. And when it was over, Greg said the closing prayer. In that, he says, Lord, I thank you for this bunch of misfits and old fogies. I don't know. Brian, you going to let him call you an old fogey? Okay, let's see. Oh, when somebody shares in your groups, that sharing should be left in the group. Nobody's going to share things if it goes outside the group, and it's going to be spread all over. But I'm going to share with you. Now, I asked Catherine White if I could share this, and as long as I promised to be nice, she agreed to it. I must have a reputation I got to look at here. I got to promise to be nice all the time. Now, if you read the prayer newsletter, you know Catherine suffers from chronic pain. And one meeting she shared with what a typical day is for her. And it just blew me away, what she goes through in a day. And at the end, when she got done talking, I asked her, how do you cope with that? And she said, I choose joy. I choose joy. Now, probably for the last 20 years or so, I've often asked God, why don't I have joy? Now, there's a difference between being happy. I can be happy at times. Happiness is more on circumstances. You're happy because things are going well. You're happy because you got a new place to live, or your household, or you got a raise, or whatever makes you happy. But joy is different. Joy is particularly joy of the Lord, and that is based on the Lord. And you're happy regardless of the circumstance, and you're joyful. So when she said that, what happened to my notes? When she said that, it really meant a lot to me. Mary got me a little soap dispenser that I have on our bathroom sink. And it says on it, today I choose joy. And it's a reminder to me that you can have joy every day. It is as though God said to me that night that you don't have joy because you don't choose it. And, so I do my best to choose joy. Thank you, Catherine. Now, as Coulter said, the new kickoff or the new lessons in the groups are starting next week, and I just urge you to really to join one of those groups. You can have a lot of fun, and who knows, maybe God's got an answer to something you've been asking for a long time, or maybe He just has something that He wants you to know. So I'd urge you to join one of the groups. And I just close today with this. Today, I choose joy. Will you?
Pretty sweet that God doesn't want us to go this journey alone. And I think the connection groups are a perfect testament to how God provides people in our lives to journey this together. I love hearing the stories from these two different individuals, and there's 7 other groups that are available for you to be a part of, but it's so sweet to see God help people along in their journeys by bringing other people alongside of them. I want to take a moment here as we pause for a moment to continue to journey further into the throne room with God and invite you, if you're able, before we highlight the final missions emphasis of this morning, to stand with us and sing a couple songs of praise.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. The Lord has promised good to me.
not through yet. Well, we have spent the last while here looking at the ministries that are reoccurring on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and the ministries that we're involved in. I want to finish out today looking at the ways we've been involved in missions this last year. And it's pretty crazy to see as we look at this last year that we're a part of sending and funding 2 missions trips overseas, as well as a local missions trip. And that's where I want to start looking at as we start with missions, is we had a thing this last year in August known as Love Week. Love Week, and what this was not your very typical missions trip. You know, you didn't sign up and do a bunch of meetings beforehand and then hop in a plane and go somewhere. No, this is a missions trip that took place right here in your back door, and we were able to bless 3 different families along with all the meals that were made, and we had many of you involved that week during Love Week. But to hear about the stories of what God did that week, I'm actually going to invite Paul, and then Tim was not able to be here, but he made a little video for us. So we're going to listen to Tim's experience on the video, and then Paul will share as well. We won't listen to Paul. We'll listen to Tim. We'll listen to Paul.
Sorry, Tim. As I've been sitting here listening, I have so many things to do. None of them or so many things to say, and none of them have anything to do with Love Week. But first thing I have to do is apologize to Lee. But the problem of having pictures up behind people, Max was eating that tree branch or whatever he had just about the time Lee was talking, and Greg and I got kind of just snickering about that. So sorry, Lee, it wasn't you. Anyway, I just real quick about Love Week. And to me, Love Week was kind of personal. It's kind of important to me, and just I'm going to read real quick from Matthew 25, something that has meant a lot to me through the years, but something that I try to think about, not just during Love Week, but other times as well. But I just wanted to share that with you. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." And I think that's something, just on a personal level, that there's a lot of people that need help, and maybe are down on their luck or whatever. So I think Love Week was a good time for us to really step out as a church and be part of the community. We talked about it at the elders meeting, and finally we said we just got to pick a date and do it. And as that date got closer, I had said we kind of paired up, and each of us took a project, or the 2 of us together took a project, and it sounds great. And then you start thinking, what did I just volunteer for? Because we were going to paint a house and fix a fence, and I told the guys, I said, well, somebody's got to be there that can fix a fence, because I'm no carpenter. And so fortunately Landon was with me, and then you start thinking as it gets closer, are we going to have enough help? We were going to paint a house. I'm like, I don't want to paint this house by myself. And as it got closer, and I think the lesson there for me was you just got to trust that God's going to see this through. And we ended up, I think, with 13 or 14 people throughout the week that came and helped paint the house. We finished it in 3 days. And it was fun to watch the lady whose house we worked on. When I first called her and left a message, I was leaving a message on her phone. She didn't know who I was. And I thought, I'm leaving this message saying, hi, I'm some stranger. I want to come paint your house and fix your fence. And I was thinking, she's just going to think some crazy man is, trying to rip her off or something. So fortunately, Grandma Dee knows this lady, and I said, maybe you should tell her that it's legit. So anyway, we went to her house. I went and talked to her, picked out paint and all that, and there was, not skepticism necessarily, but you could tell, she's still like, I don't know about this. Anyway, as the week went on, and she started to see things go, she started coming out and talking to all the people, and by the end of the week, I think everybody that was there, I think we ended up with a new friend on top of everything else. I mean, I think she was really blessed as well as all the rest of us that helped out. And I was not going to try to name everybody, but for those of you that helped either with the house or some of the other projects around, thank you. I think that was a big thing for our church.
Pretty sweet to see so many of you get engaged in it. I don't even have an actual number of how many people were involved, but so many different projects done, so many people blessed, and well done, reaching into your Jerusalem. But it's sweet to see that when Jesus talks about that we'll be our witnesses to Jerusalem, he goes on to say, and to Judea and Samaria and the ends of the earth. And we were able to also reach into our Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. As I pointed out earlier, we sent 2 teams this year. 2 teams went overseas to serve Jesus, and we were able to help fund that and do that. And that's no small feat. We on average 150 people here. To do 1 team somewhere would have been a big deal. Many of the churches in town aren't even doing 1 team. And we sent 2 teams along with a Love Week. And so I just want to take a moment to hear about these 2 trips one more time. You've heard about them this last year as they got back, but let's hear about it one more time. I want to invite up the first one that we sent throughout the year. It was actually to the Dominican Republic. They went to go work with Mission 2535. And I'm going to invite Joanne and Deb up to share what they experienced and how they saw God move throughout that week.
Well, this is the one chance you'll see with a microphone because I can't play and talk at the same time, so I fall right off the bench. I was really glad watching this slideshow. I was really hoping I wouldn't see that hideous picture of me with a skirt and my hair pulled back, because I want to burn that one, so that was good. And as I watched this slideshow, it's like watching a family photo album go before me, because the longer you spend with this group of people, they're family. So it's awesome to see that. When you go on a mission trip, for some people, they pray over it and think over it, and I think I was a little bit more simple-minded about it. I said, this seems like such a good idea, I think I'll just go. And when I made that decision, and then it wasn't long after Rick Romano came up here and he spoke, and he just kind of solidified it. He said, we go because we care, because we can, and because we're called. Pretty straightforward. You shared the verse about Mission 2535 and what its mission is. People need help, and we go and step up to the plate and take care of it. And as in the flyer for 2535, they have it pretty simple. They said, we aren't asked to do the impossible, we're asked to do the common decent thing. It's not rocket science, it's just putting your heart out there and going after it. And people do mission helps in various ways, kind of like with the youth ministries and things like that. I've never been one to like middle schoolers, nothing personal against you middle schoolers. But I've said many times over, if I had to work in middle school, I'd probably be in prison because I couldn't do it. So everybody helps out on a mission field however they can. And so I have it in my journal how 2 of my friends here have helped. And these are notes from Sheila Etherton that she sent me, one for every day. And so I use that to journal on the back of. And I have a note in here from Chris that sent a note of encouragement. So you help in a mission field in a variety of ways. And so I'm just going to share quick, my most memorable moment, I guess, at the mission field was the prayer walk. We shared that at the meeting when we came back. We got to walk around and pray in a village with people. Some were churched, some were unchurched. And how we kind of brought that full circle, in my opinion, was we brought that story back here. The woman that said one of her prayers, all of them prayed for their family, but the one that prayed for the cement floor, and hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder here, but she prayed for a cement floor for her house so she didn't have to walk around on a dirt floor. So we thought about that after we got back, and we put it out to the mission team, and we raised enough money, and we sent it down to Rick, and that woman's got a cement floor. She knows God answers prayers, however it gets answered. So I guess to me, going on this mission trip, I got to know my family better. It's always good to spend a little time with the family. By the end of the week, I wrote in my journal, we're getting hungry and tired and angry, and it's time to go home. But I got to know my brothers and sisters better, see where their strengths are, and just kind of let the people there in the DR know that they're not forgotten.
I was glad to see a few other people bring their notes up because I had penned down notes. Otherwise, I'd be like Dick, and I'd be rambling, and you guys would be here till 2 o'clock. But some of the exciting things for me, this was my third trip to the DR. I guess our mission here at church is reaching the next person for Christ to take the next steps with Christ. That's kind of what we're trying to do down in the DR also. We're trying to bring these people to Jesus, but we're doing things with them to help them out. We may not necessarily get to sit down and say, okay, you need to know Jesus, and this is how you do it. We're loving on them. We're doing things with them and for them. One of the big highlights this year was the Bible school, and we had over 20 kids come to know Jesus. So praise God, that's an answer to prayer right there. And over the last few years that I have going out to the farm and seeing how much that farm has grown that Rick and Tammy have started, and the things they're doing there right now, their crops are not huge yet, but they are making enough that they can, they give some of the food to the local churches, that gives to their families in their churches, the water filters for them people to have safe drinking water because their water is really bad down there. And just seeing that farm grow to hopefully be self-sustainable, to be able to help these people out down there. Just working with Rick and Tammy. I love Rick and Tammy. My kids, Mark got to go on missions trips when they were in Mexico. Megan has gone to the Dominican Republic. They've stayed in our home. I love their heart for these people down there. They love these people, and getting to go and work alongside them has been awesome for me. Just another thing was the praying with the local people and going into the home, and the lady praying for a cement floor, and she was quite elderly anyhow, and I can't imagine living with a dirt floor in the first place, but just to be able to provide that cement floor, but not necessarily for us to provide it, but to see God's prayer answered. She prayed, that was her request. We got to be part of seeing that prayer answered, and so that was really awesome. There just were so many things I would like to share, I guess, but one other thing I would like to do is I want to thank all of you guys. You guys helped make this possible for us to go because of all the giving and things that you guys have done and helped provide for us to go has been awesome. And I think you guys deserve a hand for that because you really have put a lot into this. And I was the old lady there. And this year it kind of showed a little bit because on the Friday when we were working at the farm and poor Levi got stuck shoveling this rock or clay or mud or whatever it was, and it was heavy. And I was not feeling good. Levi just came, just do what you can, Deb, and then that's okay. You take a break. And bless his heart, he watched out and was working. But it doesn't matter how old you are. There are things there you can do. If you can't shovel, you do something else. I made a few runs for water, at the farm. So I would encourage you, if you ever get the chance, it is well worth going on a mission trip.
Yeah, she said it well that you all played your part. You all played your part in that. 17 individuals went, but every single person sitting in here played a part in that journey and in that opportunity to go and reach the next person for Christ, to take the next steps with Christ down in the Dominican Republic. But you guys didn't just stop there. Another missions that we did send as well was a new field that we are looking to get engaged with and to see how we can come alongside them in the future. It was a trip of 4 guys sent over to the Green Mountains region, and so I'm going to invite Mike and Max up to share about that journey that took place in November.
Calder asked me to share this morning on the Green Mountain region on 2 specific things. Number one, how I saw God move throughout the whole trip, and what excited me the most. And those 2 questions are very easily answered. Number one, I saw God starting to work from the day we announced it. And along with what Deb and Joanne have said, you guys deserve that round of applause, because our trip was mostly funded by you folks, and thank you so much. And the people in the Green Mountain District, thank you as well. But as we were there, I saw God work many different ways through many different people, whether it be working in the universities, teaching the young people English, whether it was working in the learning center, where the people would come in the evenings to learn English, to be tutored in English, and the relationships being built. But what excited me the most, where I saw God show up personally, was in getting to know the team, the full-time team that is there. God worked to form relationships with us so quickly inside of that 7 days or less that we were with them. These folks became good friends of ours and were sharing very real, very open, very raw prayer requests with us about their daily life, about their children, about how it doesn't look like the fruit is growing quite as fast as they'd like to see it grow. To build relationships that real, that fast, can only come through God. Through the Lord is the only way that can happen. And that spills right into what excites me the most about this trip, is now we have the opportunity to partner with them and continue to help them, to continue to encourage them. We're still emailing back and forth, and almost every email I get from those folks, they're saying, what an encouragement you were. And I get to tell them what an encouragement you were to me. And I really, really look forward to 2018 and how we can continue to work with these folks in the ways that we can work with them, whether that's finding interns to send over there to them, whether that's funding interns, whether that's just simply sending money. I mean, there's myriad different ways of how we can help them. But I'm really excited in 2018 and what God's going to lead us to with all of that.
Well, Calder didn't tell me what to talk about. He just asked me if I would say something, so something. Really, this was what a great trip. I just, every day you think about this trip, and the team that's there is such a quality team. God is blessing that team. They're using that team. And I did what Mike said. We just fit right in immediately with that team. And they welcomed us, and they shared everything with us. I mean, some pretty raw stuff oftentimes, and about the field. It just emphasized to me how much we need to pray for them. And it also challenged me to how much we have to do here, much like they're doing on the field. They're spending every day of their working towards winning people to Christ and building people up and making connections with the people there in the Green Mountains. and sharing Christ with them in many, many situations. Even they have, while we were there, they had a game night where they had a contest with foosball and ping pong. Just a night to get together, and mostly, I think it was a men's night, wasn't it? And I don't know, I think there was about 25 or 30 people there. And it was just a time to get together and have a good time and build connections. Build connections. Talk about our connection groups here. That's what they're doing all the time. They're building connections. Some of the ways you can get involved, they have a blog. It's called teamgreen.tv. Teamgreen.tv, and you can see their blog. And I have some examples of some of the things that they put on their blog. In January of 2017, they asked us to begin praying and to focus on revelation and reconciliation. And said New Year's is one of the biggest celebrations in the GM. Despite the holiday spirit, many people are bound to superstitions that they believe will bring good luck for the year, from the burning of a traditional wooden tree to the first guest of the year. Many rituals are practiced in hopes of ushering in a successful year. Prayer points. Praise God that He is the hope of this new year. Pray that Christ would reveal Himself to the people here in powerful ways. Pray that the one who is peace will reconcile to Himself, breaking through barriers of tradition, mistrust, and doubt. Lots of barriers there that they need to pray through to get to be able to witness and talk to people. Ephesians 4:16 says, "From Him who the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does His work." We just heard about how that worked out in Dominican Republic. Unity drives fear into the heart of our enemy, and that's why we must pursue it both in prayer and in action. We're always stronger together. Pray that in all settings we will function as a body of Christ for the common purpose to make His name known. Pray for team unity as we live and work closely together, that peace and grace would always be the desire of our hearts. Pray for unity among national and international believers in the churches in this place, that they'll work together to share the good news of Christ. Pray for unity between Orthodox churches and non-Orthodox churches, that trust can be built and that fruitful dialogue can occur. You saw some images up here on the screen of Orthodox churches in the GM. People walk around those churches and kiss those icons you saw on there, trying to work their way to heaven. One of the couples there now is going in those churches and doing virtual prayer walks in those churches and asking that God would give them a contact within the Georgian church to sit down and talk with them about Christ. They put the Bible behind closed doors so that people can't get to it. They can't get to it. So that's something you can pray about, that God would, like us start off with, reveal Himself to them in powerful ways and then reconcile Himself to them. They asked for us to pray for peace and protection in this place, and that the country would stay open and free so they can continue the work. And I can go on and on. I've got 5 or 6 here, but you get the idea. And if you get on the blog, teamgreen.tv, you can get these. They put these out every month and sometimes more often, but some really good prayer requests for us to remember them by. That's how they survive over there. And I would encourage you, as others have, go. Take the opportunity and go. And again, thank you for your support in prayer, for your support in finances, that we could go. The last thing I would say is, just knowing the team that went, getting to know those guys better, was a real blessing to us as well. Thanks.
We have been involved in missions, which is something big that Jesus calls us to. He says, go and make disciples of all nations. And I praise Jesus often that we are a church that is focused on missions, whether it's here or abroad. So well done, awesome job. One final thing that you were involved in missions this year was, if some of you were here back during the summer when we challenged you with the Great Commission Fund. We presented that to you and shared with you that the Alliance does a thing called the Great Commission Fund, and this is the way that we support our missionaries all over the world, 700 plus missionaries, and we encouraged and we challenged each and every person to be involved to some extent, whether that's given a penny or that's given $1,000, and it's pretty sweet to see that this year we gave over $17,000 to the Great Commission Fund. Praise Jesus. Awesome job helping the world, helping the Christians around the world go out and reach the next person for Christ, to take the next steps with Christ. I want to close today with one final song of celebration as we just celebrate what God has been doing. We're going to sing a song called Sing to the King. So if you're able to stand and join us for this final song, join with us.